Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? In court, truth is important. The Bible teaches that in the end times, truth will give way to a lie. Not just any lie, but the lie. What that lie is, and how it's found adherents among the powerful in our media, is our focus for the next 8 Running to Win broadcasts. Stay with us. From the Moody Church in Chicago, this is Running to Win with Dr. Erwin Lutzer, whose clear teaching helps us make it across the finish line. Today, Erwin Lutzer begins a series on Oprah, miracles, and the new earth, a look at the growing power of what the Bible calls the lie.
According to statistics, 100 million Americans have no allegiance to a church, to a mosque, to a synagogue, or to a temple. Among these 100 million, almost all of them are searching for something greater than themselves. They are looking to connect with some kind of a higher power. Spirituality that has been on the rise for many, many years is continuing to increase until it is becoming a national movement. Unfortunately, many of these people are becoming victim to what the Bible calls the lie. The lie. The purpose of this message is to identify the lie, to give it its origin, and then eventually to tell you how it's all going to end up. Actually, there is one more message on this topic that is going to come, especially as it relates to the end times, believing the lie. There was a con artist in Chicago who worked like this. He would ask people for money, and after he received the money, they would get a big return, and this went back and forth. I'm speaking about a friend of mine who had this experience. My friend eventually gave him $50,000, believing that he would receive money back, but the man kept it and was gone. Con artists will tell you that you should never lose sight of your goal. Keep the hook hidden, mix truth with error, make as many promises as you can, and keep as many promises as you can. Give people what they want, but in the end, make sure they get what you want them to have. And that's the way the father of lies, Satan, does his work. In order to expose this lie, I'm using 2 people who have recently received a lot of exposure on the Oprah Winfrey program. I'm thinking, for example, of Eckhart Tolle and also Marianne Williamson. Eckhart, whose book I read last week, his book is entitled The New Earth. Marianne Williamson has written a commentary on a book that I read many years ago, at least read parts of it, entitled A Course in Miracles. That book, which I again checked out of the library a week ago, must be at least 600 or maybe even 1,000 pages. That book was actually written by what is known as automatic writing. In the preface, the author, Helen Schucman, says that she was not the author of this book. She was simply the scribe. Automatic writing is this. What happens is you write things that actually bypass your consciousness. They are not things that you are thinking about or thinking up, but rather a spirit guide comes along and actually dictates to you through your writing what you are to put down. This is common in occult circles. Now, she says it wasn't automatic writing in the sense that she had to write. Theoretically, she could have stopped writing, and her book was actually written over a long period of time. And then after she wrote, she began to contemplate what she was writing. But the book itself was written by automatic writing, and the same can be true of Neil Walsh's book, Conversations with God. The very same thing. A spirit came along, a spirit guide, and he began to write the dictation that the Spirit gave him. Now, with that introduction, what I want us to do is to understand the lie. And like so many things, it all begins in the Garden of Eden, where Satan has a series of lies, actually 4, but one of them is the lie, and all of the others have to become a part of it. And so if you have your Bibles, please turn to Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3 is a passage that I have preached on many times before. Some of this I've pointed out to you, but it needs to be retaught, particularly in light of the new dynamics and the new exposure to the lie. The serpent, of course, comes to Adam and Eve, and he comes in a disguise. He does not come as the devil. He comes as a serpent, which in those days, before the fall, evidently was a being that elicited no fear whatever. If Satan were to come down the aisle of a church and say, "I am the devil and I am here to deceive you," we'd be frightened out of our wits and we would run. But if he comes in a business suit, if he comes in a nice book, I was on the radio this week with someone who's a professor who said that he goes from church to church and people are using these books even in evangelical churches to see the wonderful depths that are in them. If he comes that way, nobody is afraid. Why should you be? Because what he has to say does not appear to be deceptive at all. It seems, in some sense, to be reasonable. So he comes as the serpent. And he comes with 4 lies, and in verses 4 and 5, actually, those 4 phrases are 4 lies, and I'm going to jump right into the very first one, which is really the lie. Satan comes to Adam and Eve and says, "You shall not surely die." He says, God knows that in the day that you eat of the forbidden fruit, your eyes shall be opened, and now here is the first lie: you shall be like God. You shall be like God. Now, if you're Adam and Eve standing there, in what sense can you be like God? Can you be like God in the sense that you're the creator of the sun, the moon, the stars? No, that's impossible and almost unthinkable. But if you say that everything is God, as pantheism does, and future generations were going to say, if you say that everything is God, nature is God, and God is all and all is God, well, then there's a sense in which you can say that you are God as well. And in that sense, we are all God. And we're reminded of Shirley MacLaine running onto Malibu Beach. I'm God, I'm God, I'm God.